You are now watching Believe. Do you believe?
What is up, Commanders fans? What's up, Believe Nation? It is Believe in Commanders. This is your boy, Anthony Armstrong. I'm joined once again, my man, Brian Murphy, all the way in the ATL. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. Middle of the week. Feels like the weekend is close, which means football is close. So I'm doing way better than I was yesterday.
Absolutely. I think the sun is shining a little bit brighter. You know, once you get the further you get away from a loss, the things tend to look up, right? The
That's
sun
right.
comes out, and I'm enjoying the cooler temperatures. It's starting to be like fall. There's this meme that goes around where it says in Texas you're in the false fall stage, where
Right.
it starts cool in the morning, but ends up being about 95 at the end of the day. So please pack for every season right now.
Yep. Yeah, Georgia's not that extreme, but they're pretty close. So yeah, I'm with you. Fall means football, and football means you need to get your bets in and do a little bit better than I have. We are always brought to you by Bet Online, and remember, it's the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first to market odds and lines. And we'll get to our picks later, and I'll actually post them this week. That'll be fun. So you can find reviews and news for every league. A really easy to use website. It's betonline.ag. So go on your laptop or your mobile device, and you can bet on the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, combat sports, esports, and even golf. So go check them out for sports information and live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head over to BetOnline. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. And remember, BetOnline, where the game starts. And the season started a little rocky, 1-2 for the Commanders, but they got a chance to get things going and turn things around. It is Dallas week.
It is Dallas week, and that's a big week, huge week for Washington, huge week for DC, fans, and just that whole area. It's big, and the thing that I learned about my first Dallas week was that literally every single day has a topic. I don't know what the schedule is for 2022, but every single day had a topic, and there is a real disdain and hate for the Dallas Cowboys. So when you get to hear the history behind it, it's actually pretty cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that there are so many Dallas fans in the DC area, I think that adds fuel to the fire. So they're almost like, it's almost like you can't get away from it. There are Dallas fans even in your city that are going to talk trash to you. I know my dad is part of a big family. He's got 3 brothers, and a couple of them are Cowboys fans. I mean, it tears up families, but man, is it fun to watch these games. And I'm expecting another good one this week. Cowboys coming off a big Monday night win against the hated Giants. We both Cowboys and Commanders don't like the Giants. So they got the best of that NFC battle, and we know what the Commanders kind of got beat around by the Eagles. What are your initial thoughts on this week? Obviously, it sounds like we're going to avoid Dak. Sounds like the Commanders are not going to see Dak Prescott. It'll be Cooper Rush again, who's held the fort down 2-0 in his 2 starts this year. But what are your kind of first thoughts, feelings about Dallas this week?
Dallas is a good team. They're a good team. And then, whenever you had Tyron Smith get injured, and then in the week 1, Dak Prescott gets injured, you're thinking, oh, they're done. That's over. And then here comes Cooper Rush, and he just continues to perform well, and he looks good in the offense. And you have to give credit. You have to give him credit. You have to give that team credit that they're able to stay behind this quarterback. And the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, he's done a really good job of tweaking the play calling. I feel like when I watch Dallas play, whenever Dak is at quarterback, you can tell what they're doing, and they have a certain feel, a certain vibe. It feels like Cowboys of the past however many years. But now you have Cooper Rush in there, and you can see that there are a few different plays that get called. I mean, I can talk about this later on in the show, but it's just initially you can tell it's a little bit different. So you can't take this team lightly just because they don't have Dak Prescott and Tyron Smith.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought as soon as Dak Prescott went down, it seemed like Dallas was an easy victory for whoever faced them. And then Cooper Rush comes out of nowhere, beats the AFC defending champs, the Bengals, and takes down a tough Giants team, or at least they seem pretty tough 2 weeks in. So yeah, he's just done a really good job. That defense has been ferocious, and it's kind of been like he hasn't tried to do too much, right? He's gotten the ball to his playmakers. He's gotten the ball to Pollard and Elliott and CeeDee Lamb, and let those guys do their thing and not really push things and just kind of let the game come to them. And so far, the Dallas defense has been really strong. And yeah, you got to tip your cap to Cooper Rush, kind of him bouncing around, practice squad, unsigned, re-signed, cut, all that stuff to stick with it, and now winning meaningful games. It's a big thing, and they're no pushover, which we've seen now a couple weeks in. And so this isn't quite the W that I think we chalked it up to after seeing Dak go down in week 1. So it's going to be a tough one. And as much as we want to talk about Cooper Rush and how well he's done, man, Micah Parsons, number 11. For a long time,
man.
I'm sure there was a number 11 back in the day for the Cowboys, but for a long time it was Cole Beasley. But now number 11 belongs to Micah Parsons. You got to know where 1-1 is on that defensive side of the ball. And that's the key, is you got to know where he is. He lines up all over the place. He does a little bit of everything, and he is a beast. And he's something that the Commanders have to deal with on Sunday.
Oh man, yeah, that's one of those players that your coach is circling, highlighting, putting a big asterisk, a star, you name it, any type of symbol. They're putting that guy on the spotlight because, yeah, he's a guy that's going to affect the game immensely. And I have a personal feeling of a recipe that they could utilize to help mitigate some of his abilities. But Micah Parsons is just a player. I mean, my goodness, he's good. Yeah. He is really, really good. He's one of the elite players in this league, and he'll be that way for years and years to come.
Yeah, he's fast, and he can do a whole bunch of things. So let me ask you a question as a former player, as a former offensive player. We say all the time, you got to know where this guy is. You got to know where Aaron Donald is. You always had to know where, obviously, like a Lawrence Taylor was. Not saying that Micah Parsons is there yet. I think he's really good. But is it the case that every play the offense knows where a guy like Micah Parsons is, or is that kind of overhyped, or just something that the media starts, or is it legitimately the quarterback goes out there, okay, where's number 11? What do I need to do on this play?
Oh, it is 100% a real thing that you need to pay attention to where a person is, especially when they do move around like Micah Parsons does. I mean, Aaron Donald, he does move around the line, but you're going to treat that person differently. All right. So if you have Micah Parsons over here, over your right tackle, and you happen to have called the formation where your tight end's on the opposite side, if he's not running a route, that quarterback's going to say, hey, bump over here real quick and put a chip on Micah Parsons. Or he's going to tell the back, you're going to see him pat the back and say, hey, you got to make sure you chip him on the way out. Like, offenses have to make plans for that. And it helps defenses out too on the flip end, because the offense has to usually send 2 people to it. So when there's one less person going out in the route, running back's not going out or tight end's not going out, it limits what you can do on offense, but hopefully he doesn't affect the game that he can if you happen to just let him go one-on-one.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend our entire show talking about Micah Parsons. I mean, I think he really is the real deal. He's the kind of guy that can wreck a game, but he makes me extra nervous, especially when we're recording this on Wednesday. I saw that Charles Leno didn't practice. I don't know that it's a super serious thing, but it sounds like a shoulder. So I think he sat out today. And then Wes Schweitzer, who's now your starting center, is out with a concussion, not out for the game. I mean, he was out for practice today, but that makes me super nervous. An offensive line that just gave up 9 sacks, and you're going up against a guy like this. What do you do in this situation? I mean, I know you got to chip, you got to show a bunch of different things to Micah Parsons, but that makes me super nervous. I'm biting my nails when I'm thinking about that guy.
Well, I mean, you got to be real. You got to give respect to everybody across that defensive line. I mean, shoot, you've got Dante Fowler they brought in. Obviously,
Right.
DeMarcus Lawrence is there. Inside, you got Osa Odigizua, Dorrance Armstrong, who had, I think, a couple sacks and was getting very
Blocked a
active.
field goal. Was that him too?
Yeah, blocked a field goal as well. So the whole entire defensive line gets active. So you got to think, whenever Micah Parsons moves over here, it's going to create a single block for somebody over here. And they understand that. Everybody understands it across the defensive line, that they know that if they do their job and they understand that they're going to get one-on-one opportunities and they're going to get a chance to get after the quarterback. So as a whole, I think you have to attack these guys by using their aggressiveness against them. Start out the game with some screens, draws, creative ways to get these guys to rush upfield, but you just get the ball behind them, and ideally somebody, the receivers are great after the catch. Right. I mean, they do a wonderful job of finding a way to create space. Get those guys the ball in space early while you let the pass rush up. I think that will help mitigate the pass rush as long as you get in the end zone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a one thing builds on the other, but you cannot let that pass rush know that you're just going to drop back and pass it every single time. So you got to go screens, you got to go draws and do some different things to get them off balance.
Well, thinking about that game plan, that feels like it would make a lot of sense for the Commanders. It feels like their biggest issue on offense has been not being able to get into a rhythm. We know about the woes over the last couple of first halves. So why not call some quick plays where Carson Wentz is able to get it to his playmakers, especially Terry McLaurin? I mean, get the ball in that guy's hands early. I still think that he is your best offensive player, despite the fact that Curtis Samuel has emerged and despite some of the things that Antonio Gibson can do. But I still think you got to feed Terry McLaurin, and maybe that's the way you do it, is you feed him a screen, you throw a couple of quick ones to him. It, like you said, hopefully gets their aggressiveness upfield. You're able to run on them a little bit there and kind of makes them think twice about what they're doing. But then B, it gets Carson Wentz and Terry McLaurin in a rhythm, which they really haven't been able to do quite yet. I know we saw the long touchdown against Jacksonville. Terry McLaurin ended up with 100 yards last week, but that all felt like garbage time stuff. But I'm with you. I think that's a really big key idea, is to get your team in rhythm and get it going early. We lost it.
I'm on mute. Oh my goodness.
Okay. All right. Phew.
Oh my goodness.
I want to make sure I wasn't crazy. All right. He's back, everybody.
I did go to a magic show yesterday, so I did actually. I was invisible for a matter of seconds, and then I reappeared. It was pretty fun, but no, shoot, you almost need to be a magician to get away from this pass rush when you think about it. But you really have to find ways to it's like Taekwondo or Jiu-Jitsu, right? Where you use their force against them and in that type of a way. Because if you're sitting back and they know it's going to be a passing game, it's going to be trouble. And you obviously have Trevon Diggs out there in the secondary as well. So you got to think about it like that. Let's find ways to just confuse them, get them off balance, and put the ball in the end zone. That way, you can dictate to them more than they can dictate to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talked a little bit about Cooper Rush, but what about on the other side of the ball for the Commanders? That defense has got to make something happen, or it's going to be a long season. They got kind of picked apart again by Jalen Hurts last week. It seems like Cooper Rush, a couple weeks ago would have sounded crazy, but it sounds like Cooper Rush could potentially do the same thing to you. What's your kind of game plan for the weapons they have? They have a two-headed monster in the backfield. We know about CeeDee Lamb. Michael Gallup might be back. Dalton Schultz might be back for, another pass-catching weapon there, the tight end. What are your thoughts on defense, and how can they kind of get some wins that they desperately need?
Well, this game here, you have a hell of a matchup in the secondary. I haven't seen or heard. I don't know if you've heard anything about William Jackson, about his potential status getting in.
Yeah, I don't know about his status, but I think he was working today. It might have just been in individuals, I think I saw, but hopefully that's trending towards him playing, because they could use him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having another bit of help out there would be good, because here's a couple of things to think about. Cooper Rush, it's like Cooper Rush is seeing things differently than Dak Prescott is. Let's just assume they are running the exact same plays. I think that Cooper Rush, generally quarterbacks have a little say in what they want to run, right? A coordinator says, "What do you like?" He says, "I like these." Then the coordinator tries to stick to the plays that the quarterback likes. Cooper Rush could like different plays, and some of those plays are new. So the defense needs to really study these past 2 weeks that Cooper Rush has played, because his progression seemed to be different. Noah Brown is getting a lot of action. Noah Brown may have not gotten a lot of action with Dak Prescott, right? So understanding how Cooper Rush plays the game is going to be huge. Studying him immensely is big. Overall, as just a full defensive unit, I need everybody to communicate. When you're playing against these two talented running backs, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, they can gash you, and Tony is the one that'll do more of the gashing. But when I think about run fits, linebackers need to be in the right gaps and be able to get there quickly and know that that's where they're supposed to be on top of things. The defensive line, you're gonna have yourself a little bit of a challenge. That rookie Tyler Smith at left tackle, he's doing better than people anticipated. They brought in Jason Peters, so there's some more size up front. So you're gonna have a little bit of a battle, but you be sound and just try to create some pressure, obviously, and slow down that running game. And if the linebackers are sound and in coverage as well, that'd be helpful. So, everybody just has to be on the same page. Just communicate, trust each other, and be where you're supposed to be, and good things will happen.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like week in and week out, it starts with the communication. We got to see some better play there, especially from the secondary. It seems like a guy is just a step or two behind, and it cost you against the Eagles. You talked about their offensive line. It feels like Dallas has always kind of had a solid offensive line. It started with Tyron Smith and Zach Martin, those kind of guys. Now, Ron Rivera mentioned today that it seems like teams are really focusing in on Montez Sweat. They're always finding out where number 90 is, maybe not to the degree of a Micah Parsons or something like that, but he's by far their best pass rusher right now, especially with Chase Young out. So I got to see something from James Smith-Williams or F.A. Obata. Somebody other than Montez Sweat has got to step up so that they can take some pressure off of Montez Sweat and that he can and maybe get a win. Maybe I've been a little critical on Twitter of Montez Sweat, kind of wondering where he is, but that makes a whole lot of sense that they're sending a couple more eyes his way, and that's kind of affected his slow start.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that you're going to get your respect in the league. You show up a couple times, you flash on tape a few times. They teams will quickly make an adjustment. Like, people aren't going to say, I don't believe it. Let's just have him go up against our, no.
Yeah.
Teams make that adjustment, right? They make that adjustment. And you're 100% correct. Those other guys on the defensive line, hey, this is your chance. Find a way to get some wins against one-on-one, with one pass protector against you, right? So these are good opportunities, good chances. I'd love to see, and once again, I talk about creativity. Since if teams are going to try to double and chip against Montez Sweat, maybe you drop him back into a coverage and feint the rush and then send Jamin Davis on another side. So just try to get creative in some different ways. Take advantage of some of those mismatches. I mean, shoot, I'm just playing Madden, and that's really all I can do about it. But you got to try to mix some things up and try to confuse this guy. Cooper Rush only played 2 games.
Yeah.
Jack Del Rio, you got 50 years of football experience. Come on, dial it up.
Well, and not to be overly critical, but I mean, mix it up. It can't be worse than what you've done the last couple of weeks, right? I mean, you might as well try something. I mean, I know they always say throw the kitchen sink. You might as well try something like this. And you're right. He's, for as well as he's played, this is only his 4th career start, maybe something like that. So, you got to throw something at him that he's not expecting, because even a backup quarterback, if you give him enough time and he's able to get into a rhythm, he can pick you apart. And so, yeah, they got to do something, switch it up a little bit. I'm expecting a big game from Sweat and from Davis, 2 guys I think that have been really criticized a few weeks in, among other guys. But, Montez Sweat had a pick 6 on Thanksgiving in Dallas a couple years back. Hopefully that's running through his head and he's wanting to make an impact play like that. And I think Tony Pollard is a threat in the running game, but he's also a threat in the passing game. And Jamin Davis is going to be the first guy there probably to try to bring him down. So I'm hoping that Jamin is flying around a little bit and can make some plays and make a play or two that impacts this game, because it's time. And if there's a week that it's going to happen, it's got to be this week.
This Dallas weeks are like you throw the records out, just throw them out. It doesn't matter if it's a 1-14 team going against a 14-1 team. That 1-14 team is trying. Whoever is on the low end is still trying to get that dub against that rival. So it's exciting weeks.
Relatively recently, I went up there. I mean, that was 5-6 years, so relatively recently, I went up for a Monday night game. It was with Kirk Cousins, and the Skins were kind of in control of the division. I think Matt Castle was starting for Tony Romo on a Monday night game. And I think Matt Castle beat the Redskins that night. The Redskins went on to win the division at like 9-7. But you're right. I mean, it really is like, it's not a cliche, especially in this rivalry. It doesn't matter who is good and who is bad on paper. You know, both of these teams want to beat the other. So you've been on both sides of it. So what is Dallas week like as a member of the Washington Commanders / football team / Redskins? And maybe what is it like on the other side of things too?
Yeah. So I never played against Washington as a Cowboy. When I was with Dallas, I was hoping I got to that game. I really wanted to get that game. That would have been something. But growing up in Dallas, though, the Washington week has never been a thing. Okay, it hadn't really been a big deal. Generally, there's another storyline, or they're just trying to, look further ahead, like who is Dallas going to face in the playoffs, those type of things. I mean, I'm talking back in the early 90s, right? So that's kind of what you grew up in. But up in the DMV area, in the Washington nation, it's serious. It is serious. I mean, honk if you hate Dallas, do this if you hate Dallas, do that if you hate Dallas. A whole week of just festivities. They had pep rallies and parades and pom-poms. It was just everything going on. And I mean, I was taken aback. I mean, everybody's chanting, "We want Dallas. We want Dallas." And you hear the stories about how RFK Stadium is just shaking and it's just so loud. And oh my gosh, the energy and the passion behind it is unmatched. And it's a truly special thing to be a part of, being on that side of that rivalry.
Well, and it's a fan thing too. I know us fans have not actually been on the field, but it does feel, it adds a little bit of juice. I mean, even after coming off a bad loss this past week, I'm like, all right, but it's Dallas week. I gotta get back up, get ready, going again. So yeah, it's a huge thing. It's always fun when you watch this game on TV, because they always have like a montage of old highlights of guys that you hadn't thought about, and a big hit from a game in the 80s. And it's the real deal. And there's no better way to turn things around than to beat Dallas, and the Commanders have that chance this week. And as well as the Cowboys have played the last couple of weeks, and vice versa for the Commanders, I think this is a winnable game. And I think this is a game that they can go into Jerry World and flip some things around and get it going again. And I don't feel like I'm being too much of a homer there. Like, obviously I want to look for the optimistic, the bright side of things, but I really think that they could go in and do something here, especially if they get after Cooper Rush a little bit.
I mean, I have my recipe, and I guess this is a good time to show you what's inside of my recipe book.
Share the cookbook with us.
Yeah, man. So this is a little secret, little something to drop there. Number one, like I said earlier, screen game, quick stuff. Mostly screen games and draws to get that pass rush to be aggressive, get them upfield, and then drop the ball behind them, allow your receivers to make some plays after the catch. I think that's going to be something that can help mitigate the pass rush and at least get those teams to get that defensive line, I should say, to what you said, like you said earlier, think twice. Maybe you don't pass rush so hard. Now they have to be a little bit more aware about some things. Micah Parsons, hell of a player. You definitely want to know where he is. They will, but you got to get them slowed down early. Number two, both sides of it, you got to get started fast. No slow starts in this game. And slow starts are field goals. I don't want to see field goals on offense. You get in the end zone. Get in the end zone fast and make sure that is a consistent thing. Do not settle for 3. I'd love to see some aggression from Ron Rivera. She put a little cayenne pepper on top of
There
that
you go.
thing. Go for it. I want to see Riverboat Ron show up.
I'm with
Like,
you. If it's a 4th and 2 on the first drive,
go for it.
let's do it.
Go for it. Go for it. I mean, I love Tress Way, but I only want Tress to be on the field to hold extra points. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So there's that. And then defensively, like we said, get some creativity in there. You're going to have to find some ways to create pressure. It's kind of getting to the point where you're not going to just get pressure with just rushing, the 4 or 5 guys that you're sending. And no slight, but that's just what you got on tape. It is what it is. Eye in the sky don't lie. If they're going to double team your best pass rusher, somebody else got to get back there, or you're going to have to blitz some DBs. And if you study the tape, you can make Dallas get into a hot route situation. Right? You blitz 2 to the tight end. The tight end is going to be hot, and then you can swarm up and tackle. The teams do it all the time. You have to bring some pressure to put some stuff on Cooper Rush. There's a plan to this thing.
As I'm hearing you, I want to just kind of piggyback off that. Where has J.D. McKissic been? And I feel like this could be a big game to get him involved. I think that he thrives in, some of those quick passes too. I feel like he's always open underneath. So it might be a game where he gets involved, especially if you're trying to get some rhythm going early. So I'd love to see some J.D. McKissic. I already mentioned Jamin Davis and Montez Sweat, but you mentioned a defensive back blitz, and I feel like Cam Curl was his most effective when he was just kind of doing a little bit of everything his rookie year. So maybe he comes in off a blitz that you're least expecting and has a big play on the quarterback, or maybe it's Derek Forrest. But I'm with you. Get creative. Send a guy that you're not expecting. Maybe don't send the whole kitchen sink, but maybe send half of it and
few utensils
make something
here
happen.
and there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have to mix it up, and you don't want to roll out the same thing you've ran over the past 2 and 3 weeks. I mean, Cooper Rush, everybody talks Cooper Rush. He's 3-0 in the NFL.
Yep.
Like, what are you gonna say? He's good enough to get to this level, so he can pick you apart if you give him something favorable.
Yep.
Right. So keep him off balance. Don't let Kellen Moore dictate to you. You have to dictate to this team. Try to get ahead early, and then you'll be able to, maintain that lead and get a win.
Yeah, I think they can do it. I think they got a chance. I think they got to follow AAA's cookbook there. I think that is literally the recipe to success. Hopefully, we're talking to you at the beginning of next week with a big W in Dallas, and they're 2-2, and they're setting up for the rest of the regular season. But I believe they can do it. I'm not going to be all down in the dumps, but I think they've got a chance here. And you heard it here first on Believing Commanders. You heard the cookbook. You heard the recipe. Let's make it happen.
But you know where else you can hear this? You could have heard this thing on the TuneIn radio. So it's super exciting. Big news that Believe is partnering with TuneIn to bring our top podcast to a 24/7 radio station playing nonstop sports content. So you can just check it out. It's going to listen.tunein.com/Believe Radio, BLEAV radio. Check that out. Come see what we're talking about. It's going to be on there. Tune in. So all the stations, you got your Commanders news going on right there.
Yeah, and so when we have our victory pod on Monday, you can hear that on TuneIn. I'm going to speak it into existence. It's going to be a good weekend. It's going to be a big win in Dallas, and we're going to be setting up at 2-2, ready to go for the rest of the season.
Yes, indeed. So I know all them folks from the DMV. I know there's some folks that will be coming down there. So I got to make sure I clear my Saturday.
There you go.
Because some folks will probably want to say what's up, and
yeah.
I'm at to rest up, see if I can stay up past 8 o'clock.
Yeah, there you go. Well, if you're feeling it, also bet the Commanders. Use Bet Online. We're always so grateful for them bringing you the show. Remember, Believe 50, BLEAV 50 to get that 50%.
What's the line on that game?
So we're gonna get to our picks after this, like we did last week, I believe.
Oh, so you gotta wait.
Yeah. And I'll actually post it this week. I'll post the audio version. So we're gonna pause here in a second. I think it's 3.5. So stick around to see what AAA and I pick on that one. But we appreciate Bet Online and Tune In for helping us do this, and it's a lot of fun as always. And we'll talk to you soon.
See you.
All right. All right, cut it now. If you're stuck around with us, we're doing our picks. Let's get into our picks for
Yes.
week 4. AAA, have you written down how poor I've done? Did you even bother last week?
So I actually did a tally, and then I untallied, and then I didn't write it down. I looked, and I looked in my own head because, basically I didn't write it down. I looked at mine, and I was like, I think I was 7 and 8 and 9 or 7 and 10 or something like that. I didn't do so hot.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. I'm looking on my phone. I'm not being rude. I sometimes will keep track of my picks against the spread. So week 3.
Picks are brought to you. This is brought to you by Bet Online, by the way. So
yeah,
if you're listening, so that you're listening, this is brought to you by Bet Online. We have a code over there, BLEAV50. You get your 50% on a welcome bonus. It's got live sports, live betting, live odds and lines.
Right.
Lordy, it's
Nailed
a tongue
it.
twister.
No, it is.
But it's awesome. Bet Online. I love that place.
And it's not just football. Basketball is about to start back up. MLB playoffs, NHL. It's all of that and more. So be sure to check them out. We have, golf, live,
esports.
Yeah.
I'm on the tab now. I'm just gonna see. I know we're doing our picks. They're coming up soon. So
yeah, I was looking. I think I did poor again. I think I was just under 500. So that's usually the way it goes. I just enjoy doing this. I don't even care about the record, but so maybe don't listen to me if you're really putting these in. But it is fun to do this every week because I feel so confident at the beginning. I feel like I'm gonna go 16-0 every week, and then by the end of Thursday night, I've already missed one.
Yeah, it's well, see, the thing, that Thursday night game sets you up because you're thinking, see, I'm off to a fast start, but then there's such a long time, and then you've already made your picks, and it's and then finally it gets to the end, and then you're just like, man, that took a long time for me to get here, and my picks don't feel as good anymore. So
no.
But it's all good. It is all good. Let's get this thing started.
So the Bengals are breaking out their white stripes jerseys. They look okay. I feel like it looks like they forgot to finish coloring their coloring book. But anyway, Bengals are. I'm surprised by this. I want to double check this. A 4-point favorite at home against the Dolphins, who are pretty good. So a 4-point favorite. I wonder if that has to do with Tua's health. What are your thoughts on that Thursday night game? That's a tricky one off the bat.
The line is, I was taken aback by the line. I'm like, these guys are walking in 3-0. They've had some big wins, but I figure Vegas is saying that the Bengals they did just go to the Super Bowl, and they finally got their stuff back right. So, and I would think too, Tua and his health and a short week, that could be playing into it. I know this much. If we're going against the line, and I've been going good this so far, I'm going to ride with the Dolphins in this one. They can keep it close. I think they can definitely keep it close, and they've shown that they have the ability to make big plays in games.
I think that if this game were on Sunday, it'd be a different story, but I think there is a question mark there with Tua. Bengals at home coming off their first win of the season. I'm going to give them the edge. I still think overall the Dolphins might be better, which is crazy. Like we said, the Bengals coming off a Super Bowl appearance, but just this week, I'm going to go with the Bengals. Man, but I don't know that they cover.
That's the tough part.
I'm going to go with the Bengals. Yep, Bengals.
Hey, good. We got to have
a late Jamar Chase touchdown.
Ooh, I'm going to write that down, Jamar.
I've got him in a couple fantasy leagues. Speaking of fantasy, whatever. We lost our first game by a couple points. Whatever. Anyway, Vikings going on the road not on the road. They're both going on the road. This game is in London. So throw out the home field advantage and all that. Minnesota and New Orleans playing in London Sunday morning for us over here in the States. What are you thinking of the Vikings, a 3-point favorite?
I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think that they're playing good football. They're playing good football. Yep. Saints still have some question marks, and I think Jameis has probably played more games in London. I think he's played a couple games in London. Yes, maybe I'm
I would
lying.
think so. No,
I think he's played a
that
couple games
seems
in London.
right. Yeah.
Oh, I should have done my research. But
Yeah.
either way, I think the Minnesota's looking pretty good, looking pretty solid, and they will get this W. They'll cover.
Part of me wants to stick with my team from the beginning of the year, which was the Saints, which we talked about our last episode. But yeah, I think the Vikings are tough. I think even without Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison steps right in there. I don't know if Cook's not playing or not, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings as well. An AFC South showdown. The Titans are struggling a little bit. They finally got a win against the Raiders last week, but they go to the Colts, who just got a big win against the Chiefs. Colts a 3.5-point favorite at home. I'm going to start here. I think that the Colts keep rolling a little bit and they get a win against the Titans. I don't think the Titans are the same team that we've seen over these past couple of years. I think Ryan Tannehill is kind of coming back down to earth after a couple of solid years. I'm going to go with the Colts at home, and I think they cover that 3.5.
The 3.5 is the one that is I mean, it does get you. And the Colts, you feel bad when you're like, well, they tied the Texans. But I mean, hell, the Texans have been playing people tough all year, so it shows you how tough this league is. I'm going to go with the Titans on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Titans. I think they could cover that. But if it is ugly for Ryan Tannehill, hey, Malik Willis, you didn't need a mentor, but you may be able to get in the game and play. So he may bring some excitement as well.
I'm not going to be your mentor, but I might be your backup, depending on how poorly this goes. Yeah, so that'll be an interesting one. And I always love division games because I feel like there's just a little bit of extra juice. Doesn't matter who it is. All right, the Giants suffered their first loss. The Bears are surprisingly 2-1. They're both 2-1. I don't know what to make of either one of them, but the Giants are at home, a 3.5-point favorite. Bears have completed like 23 passes over 3 games. That is not a recipe for success. I'm going to go with the Giants.
I think that's easy money. I'd go with the Giants as well.
Okay. That's
what
I figured.
I think it's easy money. I really do. Just Saquon Barkley is back, baby. He is back.
Yeah, he's legit.
And it's he's good.
Yeah. Easy money, but that probably means now the Bears win by 2 touchdowns somehow. That's the way it goes.
I'm gonna throw this in here. This is an extra for y'all, and I don't know. It probably is a prop bet. You can still get on there. Would Brian Daboll be your coach of the year? What do you think he wins coach of the year?
I feel like typically the coach of the year still has to go to the playoffs. I don't know if the Giants sneak into the playoffs, but I think he's going to be up there. I certainly think he's going to be a top 3 if they continue in this manner. So that wouldn't be a bad bet. You probably can get some good odds on that too.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I think if the season stops now, McDaniel, they're both up there, so they're favorites. Yeah. Okay, but cool. Just a little something. It. Those are some prop bets that you could probably find on the Bet Online.
Absolutely. You can find everything on there. So Bills, they suffered their first loss last week to the Dolphins, going to the Ravens. The Bills are a 3-point favorite in this game. What are your thoughts on this one in Baltimore?
Man, I tell you, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to have just so much electricity because he can do it. He does it with his feet, and Josh Allen does it with his feet as well. But Lamar does it with his feet, and he'll take that sucker to the house. He will go 68 yards and house that sucker on you right up the middle. Josh Allen will run you over. He could probably run the whole way, but he's not going to run away for everybody. Mm-hmm. So the defense, they're going to get their thing back right. They've obviously, they dealt with Miami before, and I think that overall Baltimore is probably tracking, and then they're at home. So I'm going to go with those guys.
I'm with you. It feels weird to predict, to knowingly, actively predict the Bills to get a second straight loss because they seemed invincible through 2 weeks. But yeah, Lamar Jackson was on a different level last week. As I mentioned, close personal friend. I'm taking my close personal friend to win this one. However, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are going to have a huge game for our fantasy team. I think this one's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be probably the game of the weekend. So I'm going to take the Ravens. But man, I can't wait to watch that one. Chargers, Justin Herbert didn't look completely like himself. They kind of got beat up by the Jaguars. They go to the Houston Texans, who are still winless with a tie there. What are you thinking? Chargers in this one?
I mean, I do think the Chargers will win. That +5 and the way that Houston kind of plays tough, like it makes you feel like they could cover, So I'm going to take Houston to cover. And if you're going a money line straight up type thing, I would go with LA.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are just better. I do think the Texans play tough, but I think it'll be one of those games where they're close all along. It'll be a late score by the Chargers to put it away to where they still win by 5 or more there. Okay, Seahawks and Lions. I don't know what to make of either one of these teams. It seems like they look really good at times, really bad at other times. The Lions, a 4.5-point favorite. I think I'm going to take the Fighting Dan Campbells in this one. I think that they lost a tough one to the Vikings. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be at home, and I think they win this one against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to take that bet as well. I'm going with the fact that these guys just continue to put up points. They're still scoring, and they're still electrifying. So they have a pretty good recipe, and their quarterback is better than Seattle's quarterback. I think overall that's gonna show out in this game, and Detroit covers that.
Yep. All right. The Steelers at home against the Jets. I think I saw that Zach Wilson might make his debut for the Jets. I'm not positive that makes a huge impact on me picking this game, but the Steelers are a 3-point favorite at home. What are we thinking there?
I almost just want to flip a coin.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with golly. So this is the tough part. You don't know who the QB is.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with, I keep saying it, I keep picking a lot of dogs. Give me the Jets.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna take the Steelers just because they're really at home, and I trust Mitchell Trubisky. I don't trust Mitchell Trubisky. I trust him a little bit more. I trust him a little bit more than a rusty Zach Wilson. Let's put it that way. However, if the Steelers, I feel like if they don't win this one, I think we see Kenny Pickett next week.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is I feel like, I don't know. I was gonna say they're an organization that's generally pretty patient and they do things their way. So maybe you don't see them. Maybe you just kind of have to, like, they're like, you wait a year and that's it. Like, don't go ask mom. Like, that's the final stance. But I mean, when you're making those decisions, you got to look at like what the division is doing. You know what I mean? So does it make sense to try to pivot there? I mean, right now, what you got at the top of Baltimore, Cleveland is looking solid. So you're not. Is it worth trying to throw them out there just to see? I mean, I don't know. Well, there's something to consider, I think, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but true. Yeah, I'm with you. It could go either way. I could see. I trust in Mike Tomlin. I love that guy. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. So
he is one of the best coaches in the league.
I'm not going to doubt him, but I just wouldn't be surprised either way. Let's put it that way.
That is facts.
Jaguars, a big win. They're 2-1. Only lost to the Commanders, the only team to slow down Trevor Lawrence and the Juggernauts. They're going to the Eagles, where the Eagles are a 6.5-point favorite. As much as I've enjoyed watching the Jaguars the last couple of weeks, I think the Eagles are the real deal. We saw it up close and personal. Give me the Eagles in this one.
Eagles.
Yeah.
Eagles. Yeah.
All right. Our game, the Commanders going to Big D. They are a 3.5-point dog against the Cowboys. What are we thinking there?
Yeah. So I feel like I gotta take. Golly.
I'm gonna just rip the Band-Aid off. I think the Cowboys win it.
If I had to bet, that's what I was like. That's like we ain't.
I want to feel optimistic, but I also want to cover. I want to get the. Oh my gosh!
I get it. It's such a tough. I mean, it's a tough. Like that should be omitted from the selection. Like it really should be omitted. Like, you really shouldn't.
We're just hoping for a good game.
You know what I mean? So like, okay, here's what I'll say. If you're out there making the bet, I think Dallas is probably the smart bet.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think that, you know, where they're at, coming off of 9 sacks, that didn't they get 9 sacks?
That's what the Commanders gave up. They did hit Daniel Jones a bunch on Sunday.
So he got hit a lot last week. I think they had like 6 sacks, something like that. So everybody was they're coming in on a roll, and then Washington just put some bad stuff on tape. So if you didn't listen to my recipe from the previous episode, go check that out. Mm-hmm. If that recipe happens and they put it in the oven and it comes out right, Washington covers and wins. I just think that it's a tough thing to do. So the bet would say to go with Dallas. My heart says Washington.
Amen. That's the best way to put it. That's what I was trying to say, but you obviously did it way better. So let's move on from that. The Commanders are going to win. Let's put it that way. But I'm gonna bet the Cowboys. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, all right. In my neck of the woods, the Browns, who are a tough team, coming to Atlanta to face the Falcons, who got a big win on the road in Seattle. Browns a 1-point favorite. I like Nick Chubb, and I think that they're gonna take it to the Falcons in this one.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna actually in this scenario, and I pick a lot of dogs, but in this scenario, I'm gonna go with the Falcons. The Falcons. I think they've been playing pretty scrappy. You know, Drake London has been impressive.
He's legit.
So let's go with those guys. ATL.
Cordero Patterson, 141 yards, a career high in his 10th season. So that was pretty awesome. So I love watching that guy play. So hoping the hometown Falcons get it done, but I think the Browns are just too physical and they can run the ball pretty much at will. So Cardinals at the Panthers, another 2 teams I can't really figure out, but the Panthers are at home and they're a 1-point favorite. AAA, what are you thinking there?
Man, now this is definitely one. Now, wow, this is like the Cliff Kingsbury reunion. Both those quarterbacks, and then OU, and then Heisman's, and then first overall picks. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals because I think Kyler can do a little bit more with his feet when he needs to.
I feel like I don't know my record because it's usually pretty bad, but I feel like when the Panthers aren't going to do something, they do something. I feel like when they do something, they're not going to. So I'm leaning Cardinals. I'm going to flip it around, take the Panthers. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, somehow they beat Kyler Murray. So I have no idea what to think of this game. So there's my expert analysis there. The Broncos at the Raiders. Raiders are winless, but they are a 2.5-point favorite against the Broncos, who eked out an 11-10 victory. The Las Vegas Raiders winless, but they're favored. I don't know how I feel about that one. Surely they can't go on 4.
Man, they can. They can, and they will. Russell Wilson. What does he say? Let's ride. Is that what he says?
Let's ride. Yeah. Let's ride. Come on, Denver. Let's ride.
And then Vegas is let it ride. So it's a little bit different.
Different sort of ride there. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Broncos. There's no way Russell Wilson loses this game, right? I'm going with the Broncos.
There we go. Let's do it.
All right. Were you with the Broncos as well? Sorry.
Yeah. Let's ride.
All right. Packers a 9.5-point favorite over the Patriots in Lambeau without Mac Jones. Probably, I think I am going to take the Aaron Rodgers led team and that big number.
I'll take it as well. It is a big number, and the normal things you say are, oh well, it's Belichick. Yeah, I just think it's a little bit tough. I mean, who's going to go in there? Brian Hoyer.
Yep.
So, I mean,
his real name is Axel. Apparently, found that out.
He should have been going by Axel Hoyer much longer. Oh my gosh. He missed an opportunity.
Yeah, he would have been competing with Tom Brady had he gone by Axel.
I probably need some hair to be Axel.
Yeah, no
But
doubt.
either way, Brian's a good guy. I like Brian. I was
Okay.
with him I was with him in Cleveland.
Okay.
I don't I don't think that they're gonna beat Green Bay. I think Green Bay can cover this. They'll get the W.
Yeah, it seemed like they kind of were starting to get in a rhythm there too. Well, I guess it was a tough, sloppy game. I was thinking against the game against Chicago, but I
Yeah.
think that it's coming for Aaron Rodgers. He'll start to figure it out with these young receivers.
Yeah.
All right, the two primetime games to end the weekend seem like pretty good matchups on paper. Chiefs a 1-point favorite at the Buccaneers. Rams on the road at the 49ers, where they're a 1-point favorite. What do you think about these two games? I'm kind of skipping ahead there because I think they're both really good and they're both
Yeah.
intriguing.
Yeah, they are both intriguing. I think that KC and Tampa Bay probably doesn't have the same pizzazz. It has a pizzazz on paper, but Tampa Bay's kind of been, you're not really sure what you're getting from Tom Brady right now. So I think that you're going to have Kansas City. I think they're going to get that one. I think they'll be able to get that dub. They'll cover that easy. I say easy, air quotes easy. That Rams and 49ers game, I do think it's going to be fairly similar. I think getting Jimmy Garoppolo back in makes things a lot more settled for the 49ers. But I think that the Rams will actually get that one.
I'm going to differ a little bit. I think also to remember the Chiefs and Buccaneers might be playing Minneapolis. Thoughts and prayers to everybody affected by the hurricane. So I think there's a chance that might be played in Minneapolis. I don't know how that would affect things, but I think either way, no matter where it's played, I do think the Chiefs are better right now, and I think they beat the Buccaneers. In the game in San Francisco, I'm going to go. It feels like an upset, although I guess according to the odds, it's not. I'm going to go with the 49ers. I think they always kind of they surprise the Rams every now and then. I think that it happens this weekend. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs and the 49ers in those. So I guess I'm taking the
Those are
favorites,
solid.
although they both kind of feel like they're almost upsets in a way.
Yeah, this has been a pretty interesting week of picks. I mean, it's interesting to follow the trends and see. Usually some numbers kind of tighten up, and then you see some larger numbers like that 9.5 is something. But yeah, it's been a good, interesting few weeks of the season so far, and this has been fun. This has definitely been fun, and the NFL's kept that same momentum from the playoffs into the regular season.
Yeah, everything feels like a one-score game, or at least a team is coming back to make it close. So yeah, keep that up all year long, and I don't care how bad my picks are. I'll keep watching and I'll keep picking poorly if you promise me some good football. So a week 4 picks. It's crazy that we're getting close to a quarter through the season. Thanks to the guys at BetOnline.ag. Don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE50. We will be back after the weekend to break down the Commanders versus the Cowboys, hopefully talking about a Commanders victory, sitting at 2-2. But we appreciate you guys always checking in.
Yes, indeed. And don't forget, check us out on TuneIn Radio now.
Right.
TuneIn Radio, we got a little Believe radio station over there on TuneIn, so you can get us all that 24-hour sports content over there on TuneIn Radio, guys. Take it easy, and we'll see you next week.